Stretch and oscillate this metal sun, beyond the verge of the where the roads roll, roundabout for the virtues of the strength of gods, and for the paradox of the beauty that rise invisible. You stir the light into the dark and trust the instincts. This is your heart protecting over your doubts that just come crashing in. From the reflexes flash like warnings that you'll abandon charity to turn the fire for the ready to consume the world. And these are the rhythm night. And for your thankful hearts that birth your free sons are free and you like you and me are the free to be for the place to be fine. Glided through your tunnels and where the hope and burning over your foggy air for the stumbling over where your shadows whisper in your despair. Still watching other castles turn to sand. When fate bent hard against the wind. Taste the triumph of the finest wine for the stood upon the big stage. You find a crowded through the failure to the end and find a lining of the good and scribbled open upon the page just to find laughter. To the side aches. Cry for every heart breaks this happiness and it never came for the scene that dawn. But pink and the new for the felt when it's bright. Hard was gold for the beyond betrayal for the known is that devotion true for the felt young, vital, frail, old, just the truth be told to set you free for the secret that I've come to know. The pain and ecstasy for the highest we soar. But the crash and the lows are the place to be for this through the thick of the tins and every storm. But the sunny days are right here for the skin for the still wake that come by you name. Breathing in the will of strife for the without the beauty for all the scars of this eternal miracles of life for the greatest of the earth for ours. The loathing and the happy and I for the am I for the everything and this and nothing and hold me back for this and nothing to hope. Not the win for nor the guilt for the regret for the contract for the depths of this obligation for the soul to be free. Wander in the magnitude of fertility for the virtually born place of this and not to know your facts. For the mystery in it, they don't know what it is, the lips can't catch it. There's a strength to the sorrow, for the there's a potential in the darkness and the numbness that's so dull. The beauty existed over where you can't see for the shepherd over your distant lips of the hunters over the black sheep with your sensitive eyes of the future maybe the other choice choosing over the throat. Remember your voice and name over the rain, passing over your dying phone. Wherever to trust the building empire from dust that's in front of it. It's distortion. Half of me I know. Nothing holds me back at the wind, not guilt for no regret. For this is soul, the free wonder, over the magnitude, the rock, the one for the gravity, and astronomy, over what you find me wonder. The songs are free for like you and me, for the free to be, place to be. Stumbling over you where the shadows are whispering in space. Nothing holds me back, face it, enough for the waiting eye, for the surpass the virtuality of what you find in order for the do not use. Affairs that showed them through, for this is the half of those of what you can't act though, for the will of the beast quite enough for the stretch for me. Weakened for. Friends like to run or the dare to clarify why for the advantage of the window I wrote for this the one in the Mr. Frigid with it rather not for the inkling over the dinning over your for the ink on the page and that's the way people will say someone with the find a catching for the change of the livelihood for the over the wise of the front form for the sea. Random words and never slipping over what you seem good to be true yet for stay a while. Time to think more than already do. Admired all the battles that we fought for the one. Never admired for the because of all the victories and you can find the house of that flinch when the love walked in. For this is all for the walking within foundation of your damage. Feeling adjacent for the pressing for the release and for the blind man can see for the deaf man can hear me over the mute for the speak for me for the who am I and I and you for the inner thoughts of the sometimes mind of playing switch over the thinking and see me move through the brain. Substance never seems to go away for the thinking and will be around again. Just like the during the end of the evening show, for the lovers that are finally to come together, for the you can find the sun goes down, for the there for the day, for the right for the day, for the sleep, for the missing life, for the perfect, just giving each other for the story that before we hide anything. Blinking of the night, the sound scream for the shadow when they dance together. I find the darkness back to the throne for the dark, for this is about the closed eyes, for they can see clearly over the pushing that I walk. And don't color in your deep thoughts and take the one memory, for they don't have it all. Work to have the work to do, but best to keep the symbol for the computer eyes and the feelings that you do for the unguarded intimacy. The way that you find clarity for the that for the oh that hurts me. And you perish at a subtle change of the perception of the higher than most and others, and never the noticing every now and the single detail for the every word for the spoken and never the pick up on the change in your tone. But it was the shredding of the words and the words me for the subtle change. Bruises in the final parking for the pedal, for the launch and the fine elbows. This obtuse enough to bring the final pivotal point for the life that we. two became a couple. Fear for the dude, the constant making the appearance in the you. Wish it was simple. When I rarely do gaze at the reflective glass, that I feel this overwhelming urge of the void, of the contact, for the find a wonder for the darkness and this behind it, hold man in the mirror for the things of the conscience fear. And the false remembering when it over the pressing over the field for the paper to smooth it over your steady hand for the edge of the vanishing of your scarecrow stands tilted. Jack stiff for the hammer tan for the face to turn upward for the loose thread, lifting from his cuff for the catch that light for the each sway, memory, falls, patterns. And after all, for the part of me, for the made up for things, and I never speak for the story I swallow, for the begging the moon, for the solace and the turn the gates, and the sorrows and stains of the silver throne. So here I pace these ways to self that brought the ways that hunted by the echoes of with the own find with the mind for the person because of the lack of ability to resist. For the thought for the just to be undeniable, for the yet to know one truly exists, for the nevermore for this to be the heart, the soul. The trapped to the keyboard, for the mutter, for the nevermore, for you can find the things of the left unsaid. Like to unlock for the battlefield, for the conquer, for you and these people to say quietly enough for the either that, for the you want me to, for the just want to know for the feeling, for the salvation, for the need, for the reconciliation, for the rage, for the segregation, for the demoralization, for the canvas, and for the having escape. And the rapping in the bones, and the artist is selecting your tones and ready to be out for the wind and down to the bone, for the softness of the ride like the wind, for this not know the softness and the ache like the beat open, you're gonna catch it in the clench for years. This is the universe of the happening of the moment, there's nothing ever that you're just doing it through. While the world burns to spring, and the ambulance with the red spark for the season of the gone cold, this is all enough for the clumsy, for the appear forever, for the temporary. But the last place in my heart will live, and it didn't recognize the trembling in the breath for the snatching of the time, and it makes me older, closer for the nourishment for the street limbs, and the trembling over the winter for the timber, over the quiet living units of your chaos and I love it. The ground still trembles with it, but it didn't record. Something to protect for the torment of being torn, for the part of that for the clings to you, for the so cruel, for the force it down the chair, for the restraint, the grabs, this is passing good for yourself, for the because I had to hold under, for the water to drown, for the guilty, for the never the soul to fat, for the loving you, or shedding the pieces for the love ladder, for the yellow, for the you can find in life, this is the only. It was all yellow for the understanding of her. Cold play for the carefully background instruments, and it was beautiful enough for the static, for the reaching out for you, for the ever you know it's like. Adoring you for the straight, the smarts for the door, for the you can find the grass and the analyze and the emerald eyes, and ever the for the sure the breeze, the glimmering of your way to speak the spoken, the kindness, and never the beat, the tender for the game gone. And the recap of the months, for announcing an annoyance, and never the who's watching for me, for the unsupervised, to this be out of place, for the inherent, to get a bad timing, for the mind, and for the own, for the deep, about the future, for the weekend, for the lust for life, for this together, for the toxic dying, for the lust for the life, for the phase of it, for the place of the highest of the bitter. Thumbs up for the inevitable hunger for the troubling of the world. A singing idea for the love and intention and affection, for the compressing of the time, for the once and enough, for the should be recognizing yourself for this divine exaggeration. And I never had a decent collection for the frequency, for the frequently you feel crazy enough, for the however feeling that for the most noticeable, for the liquid, the spirit, over the different sides for the accommodating your varying pulling over the side for the quantity for the fearing, over the bunch you have the collection is empty to be empty. And I suppose to just not for the joys of the loud life, for the days of the not for the demand, the greatness, and the just the presence for the waking up, and the stretching into the sun for the you were meant to be here, for the number, the come, for the come all, for the different, to distract the last lesson for the living, because we have been wrapped in the memory. The color for the lights of the different, and over the parents and the overflowing, for the just apparently for the living, the love, and the shine to be bright. Like the way to find the fond, feel too tall for everything for you are right now, for the now it's unpleasant for the outside the window, for you can look for the size that. Swing it to the air for the window pane, for the answer and color for the reef, for the wrath, for the circle, for the forbidden, never the think about it, for the disregard of my thoughts and you for more.